incoming transmission from the planet.
Okay, draw my life. Gotta give this a try. Apparently you have to talk at lightning speeds in order to get this done. So, born to parents, mother Chinese, Swedish, father Spanish. Born in the Arctic because my father didn't believe in higher education. We ended up moving from one place to the next across Canada. And we did work. He was working in the mining industry in the Arctic when they decided to have me. In my younger days, I didn't appreciate the countryside as much, so I took off and moved in with my grandmother so that I could enjoy the city life, which I preferred over the country life. And my grandmother, she was a tough old woman. She lived in a multicultural neighborhood where you had your Italians and your Greeks and your Irish people all mixed into one area. She didn't like anybody who was not exactly like her or followed her religion. My grandmother was practically fearless. When the local street gangs would offer her a cigarette, out of sarcasm, she would actually go up and take one out of their cigarette case and then use one of their lighters to light it with. Being born male, on my mother's side of the family, I was the object of attraction by the entire side of that family because I was a male, and because my sister, who was older than me, was born. My mother didn't appreciate that very much and decided that I was not going to see my grandparents because she did not support the boys are better than girls philosophy. I was constantly reminded by my father that I was a member of the royal family of the Spanish side of the house, which I thought was really cool at the time, and I actually seen the paperwork that supported it. But as I said before, my father didn't believe in higher education for himself. We spent the better part of my childhood while he went from one job to the next trying to support his family. In school I was the popular kid only because I could make others laugh, and everybody loved the stories that I used to write. The whole class would hush up when I was called to stand in front of the class and give my classroom speeches in English class. Even though I was a popular kid in class and got invited to many parties and outings, I didn't go. I hung out with nerds at school, and in my spare time, instead of going to parties and whatnot, I was doing experiments on genetics in my old man's garage, including building robots and repairing vehicles. I was interested in how everything worked in the universe and how all life worked. To support an education, I worked multiple jobs. I had a variety of different educations. I worked multiple jobs, pet shop, fast food, garbage man, tire changer, painter, lawn maintenance, in the Navy, bodyguard, store cleaner, tree trimmer, crop harvester, etc. I had first studied to be a surgeon, and that didn't work out because I couldn't stand pieces of corpses being brought out on slabs. And then I tried studying to be a lawyer, but the justice system in Canada to me was a goddamn joke, so I gave it up. And then I studied astrogeology, etc., 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 all trying to figure out how everything worked in the universe because I had this immense curiosity. And as I matured, I became focusing on writing, and it was through that I met up with a group of people who were essentially demon hunters. We went into haunted houses and places where evil spirits existed to do research. You know, what were they, where were they from, what were they capable of doing. And we created some paperwork on that was supposed to be turned into a book, which was left up to me, but I decided that from the things I'd experienced by this and the things I had seen, and that no, this isn't knowledge anybody should ever have. So I kept it to myself, and I still have some of the paperwork to it. But to this day, I'm the only one of us that is left because they were quite old. I was the youngest member of the bunch. It was from that I met a variety of different and interesting people who had special abilities and that would just defy explanation. Due to a tragic loss of the love of my life, I had gone into a severe depression and anger state of mind, leading up to shared a scene with Mel Gibson in the trailer scene in Lethal Weapon when the revolver was sitting on the coffee table. But I survived that and eventually recovered from the destructive way I was feeling at the time. And a friend of mine who could predict the future had mentioned that there was only one girl I was ever supposed to be with in this life, and that I would have to work to find this girl, just follow the rainbow to the treasure's end. So after losing the love of my life, I decided that, is time travel possible? Could I possibly go back in time and save her? I wanted to know. I wanted desperately to make that come true. So I dived into the study of quantum mechanics, quantum physics, thermodynamics, etc., and observed a few experiments in time travel and listened to scientists discussing time travel, the multi-dimensional universe, attended professor lectures on the subject, listened to the string theory, and discovered that the universe is actually made up of 11 dimensions. In order for it to perform it or function at all, it must have 11 dimensions. What we perceive with our eyes falls into the light category, the light spectrum category of the electromagnetic chart. If you observe the chart, you will notice that there are other spectrums that we can't observe with our eyes. So therefore, there are other things out there. And as freaky as this is going to sound, I think I observed one experiment that caused 3 ripples in time, but I'm not positive on what I saw happen, but it was really freaky. So what I discovered was that the visible electromagnetic spectrum that we see, the colors, are only a small fraction of the reality of what's around us. If you were to observe closely the atoms located in the molecules, you'll find that there are strings of energy involved here. Some are closed, like the graviton particle, and other strings of energy have open ends that grab onto other energy and hold them in place. And this can stretch clear across the universe to the other side, the fabric of time and space. Now, what I finally came to a conclusion of from my observations and studies is that you could possibly go back in time and change a minor event, an insignificant event, but you can't change a main event. And the reason being is that everything that we see around us and experience has already happened. Time is not a moving object. Time is actually, the fabric of time and space is static. It occurred in an instant. Everything occurred in an instant. And all we're observing in our limited ability to observe is the manipulation of these strings of energy which are always there. And it appears that time is passing when actually no time is passing at all, if that makes any sense. I joined YouTube due to the advice of a girl named Kitty Cat, and couldn't figure out what type of thing that I could do in YouTube, so I decided to play my search and quest to have an Asian girlfriend. It was through YouTube that I came in contact with Natalie Tran and fell in love with her and went to Sydney, Australia to meet her, but had some problems hooking up. And that is my attempt at Draw My Life. I mean, I couldn't put everything in it because it would go on for hours, but for example, my father was a training sergeant in the Army. I couldn't mention that part. Just, minor things I had to leave out. But that's it. Draw my life.